former President Donald Trump.
It happened when Trump was playing golf at the course he owns in West Palm Beach, Florida. The FBI says it believes Trump was the target of a man who was seen aiming a rifle through nearby bushes. Tonight, that man is in custody. And joining us now, KTVU political analyst Brian Sobel. Brian, there was already a lot of concern here about security after the first assassination attempt a couple months ago. Do you foresee Secret Service, law enforcement agencies really rethinking how they approach, the rest of the campaign season?
They have to, Mike. It's 7 weeks out. This is the second attempt on one of the candidates for president. It could have easily happened, to any of the other candidates, depending on the circumstances. And so they really, really have to pour all the assets they can into the protection of these candidates.
And Trump praised the Secret Service for stopping the attempt and firing the first shot. But Democrats are already asking the question of how and why someone was even allowed to get so close to the former president for a second time. Do you see the fallout from this falling along partisan lines?
It may, Allie, but I think, the Secret Service today did a great job. Obviously, they were moving ahead of the former president on the golf course and spotted this rifle barrel through a fence and engaged this individual with a long criminal history and prevented something from happening that would have been, as devastating as we saw in Butler, Pennsylvania, just 2 months ago.
And with 7 weeks to go, as you mentioned, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle, they've been condemning political violence, but also really the easing of the rhetoric out there. Will it ease, or is it going to ramp up here because of today?
Mike, it has to ease. We have to get out of our silos. If you look at social media, which I believe is one of the main contributors to this uptick, that the hate, that the dislike of other people on social media has to be having an effect. And it's not just with our presidential candidates. We're seeing it in schools and at lower levels of government. This all has to be turned back and turned down. Otherwise, many more horrible things are going to happen, and many have already happened, and we've got to put a break on this.
Politically, how can the candidates and people from both parties do that? Because you have seen the statements from leaders of both parties condemning this and saying that they are glad that the former president is not harmed. What more needs to happen, and what other channels or media outlets or venues do they need to spread that message of toning down the rhetoric?
Well, Allie, I think it's one thing to say to turn it down, and then, 2 days later, you forget what you said 2 days ago, and you're back saying something that inflames these people that sit in these silos. These are often, and I think we're going to see it again here, these lone wolves with grievances against individuals. This person apparently voted for Trump in 2016, but then thought he was a great disappointment, and who knows what his ultimate motive was. But it's doing what you say you're going to do. If you're going to tone down the rhetoric, then you don't allow it to occur. And frankly, we're seeing it in our motion pictures, the violence, the killing, in our video games, and a lot of other things. We as a society, it seems to me, need to take this back to a little bit simpler time, if that's at all possible.
KTVU political analyst Brian Sobel, always appreciate the conversation. Wishing you a great week here, Brian. Thank you.
You too, Mike and Allie.
All right. The FBI says it is helping us